Welcome to the Path and Purpose podcast, where we explore the journey of living and leading from your soul's purpose. I'm your host, Dr. Cameron Martin. As a spiritual coach and leader, I've dedicated my life to helping changemakers, creatives, and conscious leaders align with their soul's calling. In each episode, we dive deep into the stories of those who are paving the way for a more conscious and compassionate world. My purpose is to explore the intersection of spirituality and leadership, offering you practical insights and inspiration to live and lead with authenticity. Join me as we discover how to embrace our soul gifts, overcome barriers, and learn to lead from being. This podcast will inspire you to live in alignment with your soul's purpose and create a lasting impact, one conversation at a time. On this episode of the podcast, I'm joined by my good friend, Noella Downs. Noella, originally from Nairobi, Kenya, is now based in Santa Monica, California. She is a psychic reader with over 25 years experience, a KRI certified Kundalini yoga teacher, a level 2 Holy Fire Reiki practitioner, certified personal trainee, and writer. She's also quite the creator on TikTok. So I'm excited to share this conversation with you today. Noella and I met through friends and in the spiritual community here in Los Angeles. And actually, this is a conversation that her and I had several months ago. And we're actually even closer now. So I'm excited to share sort of one of our earlier conversations with you. But this conversation was really exciting because we went pretty deep with the connections between astrology and the tarot. And Noella is an excellent tarot card reader. I have had the good fortune of experiencing her magic. And it really was quite a pleasure to have this conversation to share sort of the intersections between the two. Now, Noella will share in the episode about, her spiritual experience and in particular her dark night of the soul that led her to using the tarot. But it was pretty cool in the episode because I shared how I view a birth chart in a similar way to how she shares how she uses the tarot. The thing about astrology is that a lot of people don't understand just how deep it can go. And for most people, there is a superficial understanding of astrology. Your sun sign, maybe your moon, but the depth to which your chart actually says something about who you are as a being, most people are not really aware of. In a very similar way, Noella describes the use of the tarot. And both systems equally powerful in helping us to understand our soul's journey, whereas astrology having to look at the soul's complete journey, your lifetime, and the decision points and the evolution that you're moving towards in this life. The tarot, more about the archetypes of what we call the hero's journey. So this journey from beginning something brand new in your life all the way through the trials and tribulations that the Fool card moves through in order to move or experience or achieve something in life. So the tarot can be really powerful in helping us understand what this moment and maybe a future moment or two has in store for us. Noella is going to share more about this with you, but honestly, I'm excited because we geeked out over astrology and the tarot and sort of the connections between the two and how powerful they really can be in helping us to understand ourselves spiritually. There is actually a little bit of a surprise in this session or in this conversation that I didn't expect to happen. So happy to share it with you. Also, I wanted to make a point because Noella made a really important point towards the end of our conversation that I think is worth reflecting upon. And really, the idea is about our journey. We're often thinking about where we want to go, what we want to achieve, what we want to succeed. And many times when we're thinking about our purpose, we can often think in that linear way. I must do this and this and this to live my purpose. But this paradigm of having to do in order to achieve isn't really what it's all about, because ultimately we're here on earth to express our being, to express our soul's signature in the best way we know how. And the Tarot actually shows us through the archetypes the importance of the journey itself, not its eventual outcome. And so Noella makes a couple of comments that I want to prepare you for because I really love them in understanding the power of the journey itself. And in particular, when we are not present in the journey or when we're looking forward or we're trying to accomplish, that actually we can forget things or we don't leave enough time to ground experiences into our being. And what do I mean by that? Well, you can go to a yoga retreat for a weekend or a week long retreat, like I have. I've done many of these around the world. And if you run back into life and forget everything and just get back into your old ways of being, accomplishing, doing, you can miss what gift was really there. And in order to really receive everything that we can from our spiritual journeys, we've got to slow down enough. We have to slow down to receive and allow whatever frequency, whatever information, whatever activations, whatever growth we've learned within ourselves to settle into our being. And oftentimes, on many journeys, but definitely in the spiritual journey, there's a lot of this energy of I want to heal and I want to achieve this and I want to do that. And in reality, we do need to take time. And I think this is a super important point I want to share with you. And we need to take time in our journey to pause, to integrate, to reflect. Because if we're going too fast, we might get to where we're going, but we might miss out on all of the juice that life has to offer. We might miss out on the gifts, on the skills, on the abilities that we were meant to receive. And so I wanted to just leave that little nugget there for you because I think it's something I haven't spoken about in previous episodes of the show, and it's really important. So, thank you for being here, and I hope that you enjoy this episode. I'm really excited to share this space with you today, Noella. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for the intro. It's very good to be here, Cam.
You're so welcome. So, this is season 2 of the show, and I'm trying something new this season. I'm going to start off by reading a little bit from my guest's birth chart. So,
Cool.
I'm going to start that way. We won't go too crazy, but want to share with the audience a little bit about you from your astrological birth chart.
Good.
Then
Cool.
we'll get into the story of you as you see it.
Hey.
So, when I look at your birth chart, your sun is in Scorpio. You have several planets in Scorpio: Sun, Neptune, and Mercury. Scorpio energy is very deep below the surface, very much connected to the subconscious, the spiritual realm, personal growth and development. In your chart, you have the Sun and Neptune conjunct one another, which is next to one another. Strong intuition, strong spiritual gifts. You know this about yourself: very creative, very artistic, very intuitive. And you definitely speak in a way that's scorpionic. What do I mean by that? Below the surface, you like having authentic, deep, connecting conversations with people. Probably don't have a lot of space for shallowness. It's like, I want to meet people. I want to go deep. I want to know who you are. Let's talk about your traumas and your dramas and all that stuff.
Yes, indeed.
I'm sure we'll have a great conversation today. You also have several planets in Virgo. You have Pluto, the planet of transformation and change, Uranus, the planet of independence, and who you are as a unique individual, and Jupiter, the planet of growth. And Virgo is all about service. It's a sign that it really is about, it's connected to teaching and healing, about being practically of service to others. The fact that you have these heavy hitters there tells me you're definitely a healer, teacher. When you use your voice, it matters. It makes a difference in the lives of others. And when I look at sort of maybe the path of your soul's journey in this life, your North Node is in Aries. So in this lifetime, you're learning many lessons of self. You're moving away from lessons in partnership.
Hmm.
So, as a person in a relationship, this sort of thing, and moving towards lessons of self and self reliance, self acceptance. So, partnership is an important theme in your life, mostly because you're moving away from perhaps old patterns, old beliefs, something there. And in this lifetime for you, Aries, initiation, creation, fire, get out there, show who you are to the world.
Huh.
is an important theme in your lifetime. So
What?
how's this resonating?
It's very like it's very enlightening. It's the first time I've heard anyone read it like that. And I wanted to ask a quick question because I gave you like a breadth of time from 4 to 4:30. So I was curious which time you used, or did you use that?
So I love this, and my listeners would be like, "Ooh, I don't know the time of my birth." So actually, the time that I used to look at the chart, I'm looking at 4:10,
Okay.
but I also looked at 4:30. So what I didn't comment on was your ascendant or
Yeah,
your rising sign, because if we don't know that time, only because for you actually the time changed. So at 4:10 in the morning when you gave me that time, that's a Libra ascendant. 4:30 was a
is
Scorpio ascendant.
right. Interesting. What did you see for my Venus by any chance?
So Venus is in Libra. So
Regard.
yes, you definitely like to be in partnership. You are attracted to be
Yeah,
well, attracted to others and beauty and aesthetics and things like that. But your North Node in Aries suggests to me that partnership is being with another is an important lesson, but it's more about learning about yourself in
I
this.
completely resonate with that. I wish it wasn't true. Like, I mean, I prefer to be with someone because it's easier and I enjoy it. But I have figured that one out very much. And very much like that was the part of the reading that I'm like, oh my God, because it's really on. And I definitely have also been discovering the desire actually now to be in front of people and to resonate, sort of like vibrate that way. Where in the past when I was younger, it was something I did, but it was not something I enjoyed. It was just something I had to do sort of with what was coming towards me. Now I'm realizing, wow, that's really something I need to do, and I enjoy on a much greater level than I would have ever thought. I was even an actress, like initially when I came out here, I was acting for about 5 years, and I quit because of that. Like I was like, I don't think this is me, but it was really because I was too afraid. It was not about not being able to do it. It was just the fear of being judged, the fear of if I could really do it. It was I didn't have control. So I quit. But now, with my content creation, I've really discovered a new side, and that's making so much sense that it's Aries now because I would never have thought that. I don't think I even knew that I had Aries in my chart.
Well, actually, yeah, the only planet you have in your chart for Aries is Saturn, the planet of restriction. So it's actually harder and takes more effort for you to, I'll say in one way, assert your will, be an individual. You are much more comfortable in relationship. You definitely like being around other people. This is more of a karmic lesson for you.
No, yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's not. It is a lesson, and I struggled with that. Like I was married for 15 years, and the biggest reason was because I preferred being in partnership, and I left because I realized you need to figure out you, and you need to be. Um, I was always being the best wife, the best backup, the best support, and I was like, and I did that deliberately. And then one day I just got this hit, like, nope, 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 you're hiding.
Hmm.
So yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Well, then let's talk about this journey of you then. Cool. It sounds like it resonated right off the bat. Season two, y'all. We're off to something good.
You did a fantastic job of explaining that. And again, I don't really understand the houses or anything, which I should by now at this point in my career, but I've never been deep in astrology, I think, because it's so mathematical. And I resist anything that has anything to do with geometry, math, or anything. So, although I should really know it, and I do, it was actually probably what got me started. My childhood best friend's mom was so into it, and she would read us from, I think it was Linda Goodman's Sun Signs all the time. That and the relationships one, because we were just starting to like be puppy love and all that. So she'd be like, "Oh, a Scorpio says this, and you should be with this kind of guy." So I got into it from that, and then I remember thinking I was in Christian schools, so I thought, "Oh, I guess I'm not allowed to do this." So I completely blocked it out for a long time. And then after college, it was like, why did I stop being into that stuff? That stuff was cool. So that's kind of what sort of slid me in there was beginnings that I didn't even realize were getting me into that direction.
Yeah, well, I also grew up Catholic, so I was in the Catholic Church myself, and astrology was definitely not something I was practicing at all. And it wasn't until I actually left the church and I was sort of in this free fall spiritually, where I was like, oh my God, I need help. And I don't know what's going on with me or really who I am right now. And that's when I found astrology and when it was useful for me.
It's very, yeah.
Yeah. And to your point, there's a lot more going on inside of you than, just, ooh, your son's here. Don't date that guy. Don't go in there, right? It's way deeper. Hey there. If you enjoyed the astrology reading at the start of today's episode, imagine how insightful a personalized reading could be for you. In my one on one astrology sessions, we dive deep into your unique birth chart to uncover your soul's blueprint and gain clarity on your soul's journey. Whether you're seeking guidance in your personal growth, exploring your soul's gifts, or wanting to understand more about your life's direction, an intuitive astrology reading with me can offer you profound insights for your journey. If you're ready to discover what the stars have to say about your soul's path, head over to yourpathandpurpose.com/astrology readings to book your session today. I'd love to know what really marked the beginning of your spiritual journey. So obviously, I see you, I know you, you live, sleep, eat. Well, we've met before a couple times, but I still feel like I know you. You live, sleep, eat, breathe all of this spirituality. But where did this come from? What marked the beginning of your awakening?
It's so hard when people ask that question. It's such an interesting question now to me because I realize there's so many awakenings that it's kind of hard to mark the beginning. But I know when I really awakened, like when I was like, whoa, this world is not what we think it is, that kind of thing was when I watched The Matrix the first time. I just remember watching it and just being like, oh my God, that movie wasn't a movie. That wasn't a movie. Like just being like, and I was telling my husband, and he's just like, it was really cool, yeah. And I was like, no, 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 it wasn't a movie. You don't understand, you know. And he was just kind of like, yeah, it was deep. And I was like, no, but you don't understand. Like it really was about something. And I just remember just knowing like the red dress lady. I was like, oh my God, I get it, I get it. And from then on, so that was my first like dipping into like I got to figure this out. And then but I was already doing tarot readings at that point, and I have always been into spirituality. I mean, I grew up in a Christian school. So I understood like there was something beyond this, but I just always there was a big disparity with me about like how you got from A to Z, and the whole thing of like you're going to hell and all that. I was just like, this doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel right. So when I was in college, I remember just like dropping the whole thing completely. I didn't talk about it; I just stopped, and but then it left me with nothing. And so I was kind of free falling, like you said. I started reading books like Eckhart Tolle and things like that, and the Four Agreements, and I started getting into it. And then I watched The Matrix, and that was the first. The Matrix was when I started going like, I really need to start to dig. Like, yeah, I'm doing tarot cards, yeah, I'm doing this stuff, but it's all just sort of like this interesting thing that I'm not quite sure why it even factors in. But I did know that I was always feeling like something's missing, like something is just not feeling like something about this reality does not feel solid to me, right? So after the Matrix, I remember just started really reading voraciously then. And then my real awakening was I had a huge nervous breakdown in 2014, and because of that, I was like, and I was really for me like being an addict and not knowing what to turn to, and just being like, God, if you're real, you better show me something, And then I went to a huge massive breakdown, and in that time for like a 2 week period, I had sort of a real like blissful period. Like I had my breakdown and I woke up and it was like, oh, everything's lovely and everything's so beautiful and I don't know what I was thinking and I thought that was life now. And I remember I was in like a horrible, like I was in Hemet, which is I don't know, a couple of 100 miles in the desert, like inland, and it's not the place you want to be. But I remember being like blissful, like just as if I was like I went to some beach town and was relaxing. And now it's like what? But when I came out of that bliss state a couple of weeks later, it was like horrific because I had moved my life there. I had given everything up and I'd moved there, and I know that that happened so that I would give everything up. I know that it happened exactly the way it needed to be, but at the time it was outrageously horrible, and I was stuck, and I had nowhere to go except dig deep now. Like now, the only thing that's going to save you. How am I going to get back to LA? How am I going to get back to normalcy? How am I going to rebuild my life? I dropped all my clients. I quit. Like what? Who am I even? Right.
Mm.
So it was like a year of that, and then I got back and I got back my clients like right away. I was just like, wow, they didn't quit on me. Like they don't care that I had this crazy episode. Made me more interesting in Hollywood. It's like, oh, It was wild. I remember, like, I remember talking to my cousin because she was the one who I was staying with, and I said, I don't know, I don't know what I'm gonna do now, because she said, no, well, trust me, your clients will want you back immediately. And I came home, I came back to do like a 2 week little period, and I just did a little call out to everyone. I'm gonna be in LA for 2 weeks, so if you want a reading, I'll be. Oh my God, I was booked solid for 2 weeks, and then one of my friends said, just live with me, just come back and live with me, and that was sort of me coming back in. It took me years to rebuild, but from that place was what I needed, because it came, I had to start from the ground, and I had to believe from a very authentic place, and I had to, because I had nothing, and I had nothing but faith. So from then on, it was like, not only I can trust that now I do have a real gift, because people are literally seeking me out in this position, but also now I'm coming from a place of having studied for those months, really studied, like, what do I believe? I did 12 steps so that I could get completely clean. I did them voraciously, I did them completely authentically. So I really switched how I looked at life and my capacity. What was a good human being? What are the rules, of a person that has good structures, big, good, solid foundations and beliefs, and where are the holes? Did my inventory the whole bit. So, I really got like ground training, ground floor training on life again, and that really helped me from then on. So yeah, that was the beginning, and then it's been many awakenings since then.
Yeah, it's like you get the first big one, and then
Yeah,
all of a sudden, yeah.
yeah,
I resonate a lot. Thank you for sharing that. I resonate a lot with what you're saying about like my first big awakening when I was in this state of bliss, oneness, samadhi. They talk about all of this, like everything is one and everything is beautiful, right? I remember when that occurred for me. I remember going to dinner that night. I was basically in a retreat. I went to one of those make your own salad places, and it was like horrible food, but I didn't care. It was the best meal of my life because bliss, oneness, and everything. And then I came out of that pretty quickly. It wasn't even 2 weeks. I think it was like a couple days before I started coming back down to earth. But that's when I recognized, oh, I'm definitely here for a spiritual purpose, and I'm definitely here to help people understand that there are different aspects of themselves. And it sounds like to me you understood that within yourself um, in that journey. I'm curious, where did the tarot come from for you? What was that journey like?
What happened was, my first reading that I ever got was, from a tarot reader in Santa Barbara. Like, me and my college friend went to someone in one of those neon places, neon sign places on the boulevard, whatever. We were like snuck in there during our college, lunch break or whatever, because we were both like, let's just try it, let's just try it. Nobody has to know, kind of thing. And we went in there. It was awful. It was like I remember both of us were like, huh, that was not all the was not what we thought. We thought it was gonna be like in the movies, and we're both like, what did she tell you? Oh, she said you're gonna meet some handsome guy. It was just like, it was crap. And I remember it was $40 each, and that, for back then, that was quite a bit. It would have been like $120 right now. But I just remember thinking that was just crap. And then a few years later, I had moved to LA, and I had fallen very hard for some guy, and he didn't like me back the same amount. He liked me, but it wasn't going to go there, and I was just heartbroken, and I didn't know, I couldn't get over him. So I went to a tarot reader for like, I think 2 or 3 months, just too much. Like, I went like every other week, and she just raped me with her money, like just took my money like crazy. Like, I'll just do a spell in our church for you. I need you to bring me bread and this and that. And basically, she was having me just shop for her, right? And I knew it, but I didn't care, because I just wanted to feel better. And she would say things that made me think like maybe I'd get this guy back. And then one day I remembered that she said, drop by, get me some butter, some milk. And I was just like, she's giving. Like, she didn't ask me just to pick up some bread on the way. She's asking me like literally for the week shopping. And I was just, no, I don't think I'm gonna come by today. And I was livid, and I was livid at me. I was really livid at me, because I was just like, you've been doing this for weeks. Like, what are you doing? And then I called my dad. I said, I need to come home because I'm losing my mind. So I went home for the summer, and I learned the how to do divination from the I Ching. But the I Ching doesn't do it that way. It's much more spiritual. It's more deep. It's more about layers. It's like what I would do now if I was like really trying to figure things out. But I wanted facts. I wanted to know, when is he coming back? Does he like me? Is there another girl? Like, I wanted facts. So I came back to the States, and I was like, immediate tarot cards. I'm gonna figure this shit out. I'm not going to another person. I can do it better than them. So I got a deck and obsessed for 3 months, night and day, just shuffling, and started doing my friends, and they were like, "Oh my god, you're really good." And then I started working at the Psychic Eye Bookshop in the Valley for 3 years. I worked there 2.5 years, on and off. Like I'd work there for a year, then I was like, I just need to go on my own, and then I'd take off and come back. And the last time I quit, I was like, I'm really quitting because my clients were like, listen, I'll come to you if you don't come here anymore because you don't come in here. So I did. I went on my own, and I've been doing it ever since.
Wow, what an amazing story.
I love the tarot. I'm actually writing a book on it right now. And the reason I love it is because it's a journey. It's not about the cards. It's about self-discovery. It's the hero's journey. It's really gets helps you to get to know yourself, and it helps you to get to know patterns. How do people function? What is this person in this stage of their life really doing? It's a lot like astrology, but it's more specific to the moment.
Wow.
And so it's just really fun because and to me what I like about it also is it creates a conversation between whether it's you and the tarot or you and the person in front of you. It's just very creative. It's just very creative, and it's very telling, and it's like unraveling a story together. So
Mhm.
to me it's just fascinating, and it's fun, and it's always interesting. Like I never am like, oh, I'm so bored. I'm always like, every time I'm reading someone, it's something new, even if it's somebody I read a lot, even if I think I know, there'll be things that come up. I'm like, oh wow, I never looked at the card that way. That's interesting. Or the client will say, "Ooh, that's a pink bunny over there, and that probably means this." And I never thought about it like that. I never dismiss it because it's like, "Ooh, there I saw something I didn't even perceive. That actually is a factor. Interesting." That kind of thing.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, you just mentioned made the connection between astrology and the tarot. Both of these systems are archetypal, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, when I say Aries, it means, oh my God, a million things. Just like when I say to you the Tower card, this means a whole bunch of things could be
Right.
possible. And what I think is really interesting, especially for those who are listening and are not necessarily familiar with the modalities, right? Maybe they've had a psychic reading before, maybe they've had a tarot card reading, maybe they've had an astrology reading, but they don't quite know that there are different systems that afford a different perspective. I loved what you said about this present moment, which is really kind of the gift of the tarot. I would think so as well. Understanding this present moment in your hero's journey is, I think, the most beautiful way of describing that. It's not a crystal ball that's going to tell you all the little things. Just like I tell people, astrology is not a crystal ball. I don't know that tomorrow a brown dog is going to bite your foot. Like, all I know is that there might be an opportunity for an accident or something like
Right.
that,
Right. Right.
you know? And it really, I think these tools are the most powerful, and any tools like them, but these two in particular, when we take ownership in our own lives and understand that we're co-creating with the universe and that these
Ab-
tools are helping to mirror and show us and bring consciousness to our journey, right?
Absolutely. That's a great way to put it, actually. And I also think, like what you're saying, like about being archetypal, it helps you, like, also, like, if you want to create something to identify with certain cards or certain aspects of your chart so that you can bring more of that into your reality. So a lot of times when I'm doing readings, people will say, do you think that you telling that person is what made them go there, or do you think that that's just what you saw because it was going to happen? I'm like, I don't care. Like, I don't know, and I don't care because we're always creating, so there's no way to really, it's like the egg before the chicken dilemma. So I can't answer that, but if I am by some chance influencing them, it's in the direction they wanted. Like they're usually like, oh great, I never thought of that, cool, let's do it. Because usually I'm very much reading in the positive, even when I see something that is maybe challenging. I will, articulate it in a way that's most empowering, not in a way that disempowers you, because I don't see the point, right? And I'm sure that you do the same. So to me, like when you say these are the tools that you use for more specific present now situations, they're very helpful. I think the one thing that about the tarot that's a bit more, I mean, the about the astrology that's a bit more like encompassing is that it's more talking about who you're being, who you are, as opposed to the cards where are telling you where you're at, right, in this moment. So you can use it to identify who you are. I can see who you are by who you come up as and by my intuition, but it's more about like what your circumstances are and what do you want to create. So to me, it's like if you want facts in this moment, like how do I move this moment tomorrow, the next day, the next week, perfect. But if I'm doing astrology, I like it for like how do I move this year? Who am I in this life? Like it's broader, yeah.
I would agree. The words that were coming to my mind is that the tarot can be very powerful for helping you understand who you are being,
Yes,
and the
yes.
astrology can help you to understand who you are becoming.
Ooh, becoming.
Yeah, one helps us in understanding being, and the other hand helps us understanding who we're becoming.
100%. I love the way that you put that. That's well put.
It might be the title of the episode. I don't know. We'll see.
That's very clever. No, that's very, very beautifully articulated, actually.
I appreciate so much too what you're saying about really, first of all, the role of a reader, and then this idea, because it's the same in astrology. It's like, are the planets making something happen to me in my life, or is this happening first, or whatever? The point is, well, first of all, there's an axiom in astrology: as above, so below. So what's
Right.
happening up there in the sky is really just a reflection of what's happening within us.
Right.
So I don't really care which is first or next. I also am not all that concerned about where that's coming from if it's resonating, right?
Absolutely.
If this is useful for you, if this is resonating with you, if this is helpful in your moment because you're co-creating with the universe as you always are, and
Mhm.
this is where the power of these tools really come into being.
Yes. Yes. I think the other thing that, yes, I actually like that what you said when you said that the us above so below thing resonates for everything, right? And I think that one thing that I've noticed also is that I think this probably happens with you, with a lot of the parts of you, is that people think that you're reading the thing, right? Like, and you are. You use them as sort of a basis or a foundation, but then after that, your intuition, or however you want to put it, your insight is coming from a deeper place or a connected place, in my opinion. Like, I feel like it's coming more from source or from their higher self, connecting to my higher self. So I'm not just telling you what the pictures are. It's not like, oh, this is a pretty picture of a guy giving flowers to the, no, no, like, not at all. Some people read like that, I'm sure, but I think that the point is to take it and use it as sort of like, this is the map we're using to guide us. And then you're coming from a place for you as well, experience, insight, and then just what's coming through. So when people also, because I'm sure people ask you, they always say, well, where's this information? Like, what are you connecting to? Like, what's the source? And I remember in the beginning, it used to really stump me because I didn't believe in anything for that period of time. And then I began, I was like, I don't know. I don't know what I think about God anymore. So for a long time, I just say, I don't know. I don't ask those questions. Like, as long as I know it's not like evil, I don't care. But now I think it's coming from largely from you or from your higher self or from the universe, which we all are one. So it doesn't really matter again. But I'm very careful now about like what I'm connecting to, in the sense of like, I do know there's energetic, sort of like polarities out there. And also you can very much mislead sometimes if you're not really connecting to something that grounds you. So I'm a bit more particular now, where before it was just more like sort of this fun, cool thing I could do. Now I really do take it a little bit more seriously, that I'm really helping people guide and make big major decisions. And I want to make sure that it's authentic for them. It's not just what I'm reading, you
Right.
know?
I would say this is something that resonates very deeply with me as well. I believe you're on a spiritual path and you're looking for assistance. You'll find the people that you resonate with, but some people will ask things like, well, are they any good? Or are they a good tarot reader? Are they a good astrologer? And the truth is, a lot of these, they're tools, number one. How
Yeah.
people use, and neutral tools, how people use them, what their art is, what their own soul's gifts are, their divine gifts are very different. So for me, I use astrology. Obviously, I'm reading charts. I'm looking. It's a literal symbol with a line and a design, right, in a part of the chart, and it means something. And you can read that in a flat or two-dimensional sense. There are plenty of astrologers who can read what the thing means, right?
Mhm.
But when I'm looking at a chart, something else is coming alive, and I'm very much connected to source every single time I do a reading. I'm always calling in the higher self of the person that I'm reading, of course. But the symbols may, I might see Saturn in Pisces, which can mean so many things. But all of a sudden, the words that come to my mind were emotional abuse from
Mm-hmm.
your father's lineage, and it affected you in this lifetime. Now, does the chart spell out emotional abuse from your father's lineage? No, it doesn't say
Not at
that.
all, right?
It could manifest in a myriad of ways, but when I allow myself to be open to the divine in my readings like this, I'll get that information. And honestly, I stopped second guessing it. But at first, it used to freak me out because I'm like, how am I going to say this thing to this person? Are they going to freak out at me? Are they going to say, what the hell? Because the chart doesn't like
It doesn't say
say
that.
that, right? Right. It doesn't officially say that. So it's like, but But anyway, this is where I would say the art and the gifts of the reader, of the practitioner, is a really big deal. And so,
Mhm.
if you're resonating with somebody, then great, but recognize that no, not everybody out there is actually skilled or
Yeah.
gifted even. They might know how to read, but they don't, that doesn't mean, they're spiritually adept. We'll put it that way.
That's right. And also sensitive to the fact that they are talking to somebody about things that matter to them, right? A lot of people are just like, no, I'm just reading the cards. And they say a lot of like sort of kitschy stuff that, that readers say. And they're not really concerned with how this might affect somebody's choices and just how they feel. And so to me, it's all of that. And I think that people tend to lose sight of that, especially, when you're doing large groups like, on TikTok or something crazy like that, which I've never been a big fan of that, unless you're just literally just entertaining, because people really take that stuff literally and they get confused. Um, and I think it's a little bit more serious than that. So also for me, I don't know if you do this too. I'm sure you do, but I'm also concerned with who I am reading. I don't just read everybody. I used to kind of. I used to think it was kind of interesting. I was like sort of training myself, and it was like I thought I was a little bit invincible. But you start to take on certain energies also if you're not smart, and you also I don't want to tap into that. I don't want to tap into things that I don't feel okay with, or that at least I know how to manage. And so to me, it's as you said, it's co-creating, right? It's not just me telling you how it is. We're
Yeah.
never separate like that. We think we are, but we're not. Everything's so connected that it does matter to me. And I think at the level you're doing your work at, which is you're doing different things. You do from what I know of you, Cam, you do many different some different modalities, and so I think some of the things you do are quite deep. And so I'm sure for you, you're even more selective about what you're choosing. I don't think you're picking like it's not like a some kind of rating system or anything like that. It's not like the popular kids club. It's just but I do like to get referrals, and I do ask clients even if they get now I just recently I've allowed people to just sign up on my website just recently because I felt like I'm capable now of doing that where I'm not afraid to do it. I used to be completely referral only for most of my career. And so it's only in the
Mm.
last 2 years that I've opened it up like that. And it's because now I can sort it out. And I know very quickly, like if somebody's just you're not there, you don't want to really hear. And I'm very clear on my website and with just how I present. This is how I do it. So this might be too much for you or not what you're looking for. And so it's weeds out. And also I just think the universe attracts what works. I don't think I have to do that much vetting. I've never had a problem, at least not recently, and maybe not ever, where I've been like, oh, that was just a raw. I don't even know why that came into my office. I've never really had that. I have had people that are very challenging and very confrontational, but that was when I was working at the store, and so we just took whoever came in. And that's what taught me. Taught me how to read people because I was reading just everybody, but it also taught me when to say no because for a long time I didn't know how to just say, well, I don't think I'm the right person for you. Now I will. I'll say it
Yeah.
right up.
I think there's an super powerful thing that you shared a few moments ago about entertainment. Like, I do not consider astrology to be entertaining for me.
Hmm.
Do I enjoy it? Yes. Do I feel fulfilled when I do this work with people? Do I think it's a great gift? Absolutely. But I do get quite, admittedly, and I've not said this to my audience before, I get quite frustrated when people are saying astrological things for entertainment purposes. And my friends, there are tons of people on social media doing that. There's dime a dozen. There's a reason why you don't hear me giving that stuff on social media ever. If you read my accounts, if you want to get an energetic rundown of the week, you can sign up for my weekly email, which I send to people.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't find astrology entertaining or fun. And I think when people are in that space, it's dangerous actually because it's extremely powerful and it's extremely useful. And when we play in the realm of, oh, this is fun and entertaining and whatever, then you're actually diminishing its power.
Because you're not realizing what you're dealing with. Yeah, I think it's kind of like when people are all these people on like witch talk, right? Like we're gonna do our witchy little outfits and our little spells tonight, and we're going to manifest under the moon. It's like, do you know what at all what you're doing? People are like sitting there telling you like, yeah, put a dollar bill under your door with cinnamon on it and do that. I'm like, first of all, the culture you're even getting that information for from, where do they come from, and what is their source, and what are they trying to manifest in, and what are their gods, or what are they tapping into? And this person over here that's using it, do they even know anything about that culture and why they were doing things that way? Will it work for them? Should it work for them? There's just so many aspects to these things, and people are just, like you said, it's entertainment, and it's silly, and it's funny, and it's fun. And then if you're really into this stuff, you can definitely hear stories where things went south. And I've definitely had clients come in uh, very troubled about what they're experiencing because they've opened up certain doors. I'm not deep into any of that for that reason, so I don't have to think about it one way or the other. I'm not going to be casting any spells. I don't know what I think of all that. I have my opinions. I am from Africa, so there's a certain amount of just knowledge of what I think the power is. But I would rather just not go there. You know what I mean? And so to me, those people that are doing the witch talk thing, or the astrology talk, um, or even tarot talk, when people are getting real crazy with it and saying, well, no, the tower means this, and this is the only thing it means. And, or you got the death card. Uh-oh, whatever. Like, it's just I just want to wipe my brow. You know what I mean? But it's also like, in a way, maybe ignorance is bliss to some degree, because then the certain kinds of people don't get that involved. They just let somebody tell them something and they go do whatever. But most people aren't even going to follow your advice. That's the fact of the matter. Not you. And with tarot readers, I have a select group now that I do more coaching with. So it's like we do the tarot card as a base to sort of understand who you are, kind of like you do with astrology. And then from then on, we do the cards, but not often. Like, it's not, you shouldn't do them often. Like, you've already gotten the groundwork, you know what's coming. So how do we work ourselves to that place? And what did we not like about the reading? What can we adjust? It's very powerful in that way. And that's the way I prefer to use it. But most people that are coming, let's be real, they just want to know, tell me what's up.
Mm-hmm.
And can I do this? Will this deal fall through? Will it not? I have no problem with that, but it is what's going to cause me eventually to move away from it, because I do think it's very limiting, and I think that you can only go so far with it, right? And I've adjusted on what I do very many times, like from being like, just like, oh, let's just get you out there, to now where it's like, let's change your life, to eventually it will be like, let me find a way to really interact with this modality in a way that's really much more empowering to the individual, and that frees me too, because you're not free in a way. Like, your clients really, they really rely on you as a tarot card reader, like, very much. And I'm not good with that. Like, it's not something I encourage. I love that you trust me, but please do not rely on me, right? Like, it's not my job to be in that position, and it's a weight I used to think I liked. I think I liked it a lot. It made me feel very important, and I used to like to feel like I'm really helping a lot of people. I just felt like really this responsibility. Now I can see where it can hold you back too. So
I think that's a really beautiful. I don't want to step over this because it's a beautiful comment about the hero's journey, but also just about a spiritual awakening in general. For a
yeah,
lot of people, we have a spiritual awakening. Maybe it's a teacher or a yoga teacher or a shaman or a tarot card reader or whoever that
yes,
is particularly important in our path. And so, and it can be so disorienting when we go through awakenings. It's like, oh my God, I need help or whatever. And yet, the journey of a spiritual awakening ultimately will lead you to self reliance and or should will lead you to self sufficiency, self reliance. I will share this. I did pull some cards for myself last night, though.
yeah.
I,
Tell I'm
I
listening.
had a number of them in succession, but I only remember the first three. So the
Yes,
Fool, Eight of Swords, Two of Cups,
King of Swords.
Eight of Swords, and the Two of Cups.
What were you asking?
Um, actually, about my love life.
What was the outcome card?
Well, so I had a number of others that followed. I
So
read like a
what was
story.
the number card? The third card again.
Two of Cups.
Great, wonderful. Have a good reading. That was a great reading. It's telling us where you started, and what you want. The Fool, I love, because that's my favorite card. Despite, just so you know, it's a very free energy. You actually are that in this time in your life, based on just your journey that you've come to LA. You're doing these new things. You're really expanding now. You've been very bold about it. You've been very brave about it. Almost foolhardy to some, right? And that is the Fool. And you're like that about love too. You've released stuff, let it go. You're moving on. You're trusting, and it was growing great. Eight of Swords. That's where you are today. oh God, I got to release this stuff. And oh my God, these things came up. I didn't even know they were there. I thought I was ready for a relationship. I'm feeling a little bit like I'm contracted right now. Also, like maybe I'm good by myself. Maybe I don't need to bring all that craziness into my life. All the old fears come up. And also now you're different than you were before. Before you did need it, or you thought you did. Now you really know I don't. So now if I do it, they better be freaking awesome. So I have not met that yet awesome person that I'd be willing to expand for and willing to like give them my space. And I don't know, I don't know. And then that outcome card is brilliant because
I
you
know.
have Eight of Swords, and so that means you will let all that go. Two of Cups is always about union. So you're about to meet someone pretty soon.
Yeah, I know. Pretty
I know.
much.
The way you said that.
Means I'm in the Eight of
You
Swords.
got more of those Eight of Swords, baby.
That's what that means, y'all.
Baby.
He's out there somewhere.
It's very, I mean, I'm just telling you, Cam, like it's a little sooner than what you want. Okay.
It's sooner. Okay.
Not long. It's not long. Like it's gonna be a bit more like surprising. Like, oh crap, like it's here. Oh well, I haven't done this, and this yet. Like, can we just like wait for a minute because I'm not quite ready. You know what I mean? Not gonna be convenient. I'm so sorry, but you will be very happy. I think it's a good use.
Well, beautiful.
Yeah,
Well, I'm curious. Thank you for that and the perspective on that. Also, I love that in this recording, we have now given people a taste of what these readings can be like. So, how cool is that?
that is cool.
If you're enjoying the podcast and want even more support on your path, I invite you to check out the no cost Path and Purpose community, complete with resources, tools, and special events, including Beyond the Show segments. The community is perfect for anyone seeking to live in greater alignment with their purpose. Just head over to yourpathandpurpose.com/community to join for free today. But I'm curious, do you think that you've discovered your soul's purpose?
Yeah. Are you asking?
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. It is to teach. It is to bring light. I mean, in a bigger, broader way, it's just to bring light. It's to shine light on things, especially about the individual. To shine light on who you are and who you're being and what you can be. But it's to shine light on the world. It's to shine light because there's a lot of dark, and it's to radiate that and to make people feel hope. To allow people to not make people feel hope. To give people a sense of hope. To give people hopefully an example of this is how you can feel. My big thing is learning how to play with life and learning how beautiful you are, how unconditionally you can love yourself. So to me, self love is the inherent, the biggest message I have. You must learn to love yourself unconditionally, really, and then everything else flows. That to me by itself is generating light. So when I say is to shine light, is to be a light. Okay, so that is my purpose. And so whenever things are dark or whenever people are talking about like, why aren't you more realistic about what you're posting? Like, it's some serious stuff going on. Haven't you commented on this war? Why haven't you commented on politics? That's not my purpose. I'm not ignoring it. I'm very aware it's there. I don't hide from it. And there are times when I will talk about it, but it's not my purpose to reveal more of that. I'm not that person that's bringing up all the dark at all. You are very aware of it. We're more than aware of it. We're immersed in it. So my job is in the midst of that to show you the light. And that's my purpose.
Beautiful. What do you think it means? You kind of said it, but what do you think it means to live with purpose?
To me, it's a little different than the way we were taught. I think people used to think of it as like, well, what are you going to achieve in this lifetime? Like what are you going to leave for everyone to remember you by? And I don't think that is it at all. I think it is not about that. I think purpose is about being able to be with you. Who am I truly? Is to discover. I think everyone's purpose is to discover what and who they are, and to be as authentic as they can be within that knowing, and then everything else unfolds. Because if we were all doing it and not so worried about what Joe, Jack, and Jill are doing over there, we would be glowing. We would just be being. So I think purpose to me is discovering what it is that you, as a soul, came to this earth to explore. That was either explored, unexplored in the past life, or you didn't complete. Um, a complete releasing or whatever. What are we supposed to heal? What we're supposed to learn? What we're supposed to release that you haven't? That to me is what you can call your purpose. I would call it more a calling than a purpose, or more of your journey. And that's why I like to call everything a journey, because it's not, to me, it's not so much purpose as journey. Where am I headed this year? Where am I headed this lifetime? Instead of what am I going to accomplish? Because purpose tends to make people think of achievement or accomplishment, when I think it's more about the knowing of why you get up every day.
Yeah. And I talk about this all the time, that really the path to living your purpose is what it's all about, because the
Absolutely.
purpose will change and shift.
Literally, and I never used to get that for the longest time. It was like, this whole thing. I remember when people used to start talking about, like, it's not about the destination. I was like, yes, it is. Like, it's not about that, then why am I going to the gym every day? Like, it was just like, no. And then I remember at one point realizing, like, I remember after I got like really fit at one point, realizing like I didn't remember so much of it. Like, and then just like, I mean, it was cool that I got there. I was like, wow. But then when I tried to do it again, I couldn't repeat it because I wasn't in that place anymore. And I didn't want to do the things. So I didn't have the incentive, because I never grounded it into who I am, because I was too busy getting there. I didn't care about how I got there. Now it's like, well, I wasn't eating right. There's so many things I didn't do the way you could because I was so much in a hurry. I got there, but it wasn't about the destination. And in fact, as I did it, as I got there, it was like I got so happy. Made new friends. I became part of a new community. It just became a different life. But it took me being, in retrospect, to see that. Meanwhile, I could have been experiencing that and just enjoying, like, oh my God, this is so fun. This is so interesting. Look at all these people I'm meeting, these things I'm learning. And so I've really changed that now.
Mm.
That's a really good point. Yeah. The path.
Well, thank you so much, Noella, for your time today. This conversation was amazing. I'm so
Mm.
happy to have you on the show and to be part of season 2 in
Yay!
our new format. And for any of you who would like to connect with Noella, you can find all of her information in the show notes.
Thank you. Thank you, Cam. Thanks you for having me. It's been such a pleasure. I'm still getting to know you, so this is brilliant.
You're so welcome.
So thank you so much.
You're welcome. A heartfelt thanks to you for tuning into this episode. I'm Dr. Cameron Martin, and it's been an honor to support you on your path to self-discovery. As you reflect on today's conversation, remember that the journey toward living and leading from your soul's purpose is ongoing. You're never alone in it. Until next time.